Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the EC Leader Show. So happy to be here tonight. Tonight's topic is the process of the defensive teacher, and it's actually a two-part series because we're going to be going into what the process and kind of what the agenda of the defensive teacher is. And then in the next part series, we're going to be going over the script and the process of how to run that meeting with the defensive teacher. So I just want to give a warm welcome to all of our new members. We have over 50 new members that just joined us today. So welcome. For those of you that this is your first Facebook Live that you're joining, I have a little sidekick with me. He's my little man. I had a baby 2.5 months ago. So he joins us at all of our Facebook Lives because he's not sleeping yet at 9 o'clock Eastern time. But in any event, welcome, say hello in the comments, and please tell me what is one of the tactics or strategies that your defensive teachers typically bring when you're having a meeting. So like common ones are like badgering or, crying or playing victim or things like that. So just let me know in the comments what are the most popular ones in your school. So as I work through the framework that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, I can just have a better understanding of just where a lot of you guys are. So again, welcome everyone. Let me know in the comments section what are some of the common behaviors that you see in your defensive teachers. Let's see who's here. Hi, Barb. Nice to see you. The I don't know card. Yeah, ooh, very classic one, Jennifer. Okay, the I don't know card. So let's see, who else is in town? Let me know in the comments section what is the most common, what are some of the most common strategies that your teachers pull when they are, in defense mode? Complaining about lack of support from their assistant teacher. So again, blaming, shifting responsibility. Eye rolling, big one. All right, I'm just waiting 2 more minutes for everyone to kind of get in. So let's see here. Just gonna let a couple more minutes for people to get in, and then I'm gonna get started right away. Okay. This tea is actually really nice, chamomile. Okay, so I want to first divide the different kinds of reactions that teachers have when you call them in for a meeting or when they try to catch you off guard in the hallway. So I'm just looking at my notes here. So let's start with the internal dialogue that the teacher has with herself, okay? So some teachers really come with an agenda, like they come with like, okay, these are the cards that I'm gonna pull out. And some people, it's so subconscious, it's so part of who they are, they don't even realize that they're doing this anymore, that they like play victim and they roll their eyes and they like shift blame and they they don't even realize what they're doing anymore because it's so part of their vicious cycle that this is just like who they've become. Spit up. So the internal dialogue is a lot of victimizing, being misunderstood, and the biggest one is, yeah, I know I can't do anything right. They just self-depreciate themselves to make you feel bad that you actually told them that they didn't do something right. So that's the internal dialogue. So I'm going to categorize it into 4 big categories. The internal one is like what the teacher's kind of thinking, like, shifting that responsibility of, yeah, I know I can't do anything right, or yeah, this is like my hard thing. Like just kind of owning their difficulty, but owning it in a different way of like owning responsibility as far as like, okay, this is something that I'm struggling with. Can you help me? It's more of like owning, yeah, well, this is who I am. Different kind of owning. And then the internal dialogue also of like just victimizing themselves. So that's the first category. The second category is a lot of the outward language. So those are the eye rolling. That's like the silent treatment, the mocking behavior, or agreeing too much. Like, Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, I totally hear you. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Like just agreeing way too much, which in essence means agreeing in public to you, but behind your back disagreeing with you. So let me know so far if you're resonating with any of this. Like if you have at least one teacher that does eye rolling, silent treatment, mocking behavior, agreeing too much, any of those behaviors. Let me know in the comment section if you're seeing any of that. Let's see who's here. Again, if you just came in, welcome. We're talking about the agenda of the defensive teacher. So just let me know in the comments. Let's see here. Okay. So that was the second category. The third category is emotional behavior. So they are either crying or they get very pouty. Like they start acting like a 2-year-old because they're not getting their way. So they'll kind of be like, whatever, like fine, it's your school, or that's the way you want it, then okay, like you're not giving me much of a choice. So they kind of either start crying or they go to the other extreme where they start pouting because they didn't get their way. So Gula says, yeah, woe is to me, I'm doing so much, I don't have time to do everything. Oh my gosh, like you just have so much pity on me. Yeah, so yeah, Susan, like I was saying before, like they're owning it, but they're just like defining like, that's who I am, right? So like, here's like the difference. Like one of the things that I struggle with is, let's say something as simple as working out, right? So I have a really hard time keeping to that schedule. I have so many other things that I'm amazing at keeping a schedule, and I'm so on top of it. My calendar, like I'm really good about a lot of things. When it comes to working out, I just always slipping out. It's just not something that I keep as a big priority. Unfortunately, it's not something that I've been really good at. However, I do want to change it, and I'm constantly finding other strategies, or I'm working with a trainer. I want to get better at it. I'm not owning it and saying, yeah, well, this is who I am. I just don't work out, so I'm just never going to be healthy and blah, blah, blah. Like owning it, but then asking for help is very different. Agreeing behavior in public and behind your well, as well as mocking behavior. Yeah, those are some of the most common, especially if you have a culture where gossip is rampant. That you're going to see like tons of that. Okay, so let's go into the third category, and then we'll go a little bit into the breakdown. Give me a second here. Let me just open my notes back up. Okay, so the last thing is negotiation. So that is negotiating behavior. So that is where they over-explain stupid examples. So I've actually sat in on one of the meetings that a director had with a really defensive teacher, and she was telling her something about how so she was re-explaining to her the rule of not disturbing her during specific times, and like this teacher just wasn't honoring the rule. Like she just kept disturbing her, kept bothering her, didn't respect the sign that says do not disturb, like, and she was the only one. Like all of the teachers got on board with it, and this one teacher just wasn't getting it. So the director brought her in and was talking to her and said, look, this is the situation, whatever it was, and she explained it to her, and I was sitting in on the meeting. And this is a typical defensive teacher tactic. She's like, they over-explain stupid things. She's like, yeah, but you don't understand. I really needed that black construction paper. Or you don't understand, like I had to talk to you that second. Like, the child got a scratch, and like I didn't know where the Band-Aids were. And like did you want the kid to walk around with a bloody hand? Like they just over-explain the stupidest, pettiest thing, because they just want to kind of fill the silence, and they're just over-explaining. And like the director's like, we're not talking about the little cut or the black construction paper. We're talking about when I put a sign up on my door that says do not disturb, I need you to respect that as an adult. So that's like another huge tactic is negotiating behavior. Oh, hi, Dina. It's really nice to see you. So that's one of the negotiating behaviors. Another one is changing the subject. So again, I've witnessed this as well, where a director will start talking to a teacher about, I want to talk to you about, some team, talking to her about like team playing. How in the classroom she's not being such a team player with the other assistant teachers. I think she was the main teacher and she had 3 assistant teachers. And she was talking to her about that. And then this teacher, very smartly, like it took me a couple minutes to catch on, but she kept changing the subject. Like she kept talking about, yeah, I know, and the dad's event is coming up, and here's like this awesome idea that I have for like the new Dad's Day. And she like swept the director off her feet, and like the director was totally pulled into this thing, and I'm like trying to make eye contact with this director, and like, okay, seriously, she changed the subject, like bring her back in. And that's when I realized like how shrewd the teacher was being with negotiating this and just getting around what was going on. Jennifer, yeah, I'm going to go into that. The teachers that feel that rules don't apply to them. Oh my God. That's a huge one. Okay, and then the last thing with negotiating behavior is distorting information to work in their favor. So another way of saying distorting information is lying, but I don't like to call people liars. I think it's a very strong word. So the teacher that distorts the information, you'll tell her this is the way it happened, or this is the way that you saw it. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry that you're so sad. I'm sorry. You'll tell her, okay, this is the way that I saw it, and then she'll be like, no, it didn't happen that way. This is how it happened. And then she like tells you a completely alternate universe that she lives on of like what in her mind. So before I go into some strategies distorts information, you like that. Yeah, it's just a fancier way of just, again, like here's also another way, like using this when you're talking to the teacher and you're telling her, instead of, saying, I felt like you weren't telling the truth, you could say something like, I felt that in some of these areas, some of the information was a little distorted, about what really happened. Okay, so before I go on to some of the processes, let me know in the comments section, which defensive tactic or strategy do you see the most in your school? Is it the crying? Is it the emotion? Is it the over-explaining? Is it changing the subject? Is it eye-rolling, silent treatment, agreeing too much, playing victim? Just let me know, one sentence, what is that most common thing? Hello, Mister. Why are you being so crunchy? You're very sad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come here. I love you. Come here. Okay, so Rosanna says distorts information is a big one. Barb says over-explaining and eye-rolling is big in her school. All of the above, depending on the staff. Agreeing and then not following through. Yeah, for me, I would say that that's probably the thing that irritates me the most is when you're having a conversation with a person and they're nodding and they're really agreeing and you really feel they're on board and then they go and just do whatever they want. Yeah, that totally, Dina, yeah, it is. It's passive aggressive also, absolutely. It all goes under the umbrella of having that conversation with the defensive teacher. Okay, so again, this is a 2-part series because I can't go into everything in like the short time frame. So I'm just gonna go over a couple more pieces here of how to really prep for understanding just the mindset of these teachers and where they're coming from. And then in the next part series, we're gonna talk about the actual script of when you're talking to the teacher, what are some ways to open conversation, what are some ways to diffuse the argument, and what are some ways to just bring her back in when she starts playing all these cards. Rivka says, I have one teacher says she has to wait until it comes to her to do what to write in her newsletter or lesson plan, so there's no time there's no time restraint for it. Oh, I love that one. That is epic. Okay, so let me go into some of the processes here. I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, so first thing, you need to recognize who these teachers are in your school. And please don't say all of them because no one has no one has every single teacher in their school, you know, being defensive like this or passive aggressive or whatever it is. So think in your head those top 2 or 3 teachers that really, you know, always play these cards with you. And the reason I'm telling you that it's important to have this in the forefront of your mind, totally a good one, Rivka, my God. I love it. The reason that it's important to have this in the forefront of your mind is because you really want to try not to be caught off guard with these teachers. You need to really prepare for these meetings really, really well. And the nature of these teachers is they are super strategic about catching you in the hallway, right before you're about to enter the bathroom, before you're allowed to walk, before you're about to walk into a parent meeting, like right after, like they're so good at jumping in, like when you're really vulnerable or when you really don't have the time to focus. And so knowing who these teachers are and when they're kind of gonna like come in or whatever it is, really helps make sure that you're not going to respond reactively or in a way that you don't want to respond, in a way that you really want to prepare properly for. So that's the first thing, is know who these teachers are. The second thing is here's a couple of things to say when they do catch you off guard. So before I share that with you, let me know in the comments if you do have teachers that catch you like this. You know, when you're just in the hallway over here, you know, about to leave, wearing your coat Friday afternoon, 2 hours before, you know, like when they grab you. Ah, he fell asleep on my arm. The soothing sound of the Facebook Live. Oh, he just woke up. I jinxed it. Whoopsie. Shh, go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Cindy says she has that. Awesome. Good to see you, Cindy. I've missed ya. It's nice to see you. Okay, so couple scripts. First thing is, when the teacher pulls you aside, the first thing is to say is immediate validation, because people that are passive, aggressive, defensive, all that kind of stuff, huge attention seekers, you want to give them that immediate validation. So it's, you know, I hear you. I know that this is something you really want to share with me. I want to make sure I give it the time that it needs. Please, let's schedule an appointment. Okay. Now here's the caveat to this. Okay. If you don't have times that you actually meet with teachers, they're going to constantly pull you like a rubber band back and forth, and you're gonna feel like you're in an endless washing machine, because you're never gonna have that minute. But if your teachers have designated times that they meet with you, and there are times that you are really available, then you actually could say to them, you know, let's schedule a time that we could go over this properly and we could talk about this, because I really want to hear what you have to say. And then their next comment is usually, it's just gonna take a second. I just need a minute of your time. I hear you. Nothing takes a second. And I do want to listen to what you have to say. I'm in the middle of something right now. Let's schedule up a meeting. And literally just sound like a broken record. The reason you have to do this is because before she comes to you and she wants to meet with you, you're going to make sure to get data. What is it that you want to talk about? I want to make sure that I'm really prepared. You really want to come in with that mindset that you're emotionally prepared, because meeting with someone who's defensive and throws in these tactics is extremely draining. And the last thing you want to do is have that meeting on the way to the bathroom. It's just not the place. So that's why, number one, knowing who these teachers are, understanding that, like, memorize that script of what you say to the teacher when she pulls you and tries to, you know, here, oh, I just need to give you my, you know, my supply list here. It just takes a second here. No. The supply list needs to be emailed. Or if your rule is the supply list needs to be, you know, submitted to the secretary by 1 p.m. on Thursdays. I'm not taking it from you. Why? What's the big deal? You're on the way to the office. Here, just take it. No, I'm not taking it because I'm going to misplace it. I need you to follow the protocol. The protocol is it needs to be emailed to Suzanne at 1 p.m. on Thursday by 1 p.m. Thank you. The reason you have to do that is because without that, you're just constantly making yourself prey to all of these just like everything emotional that's going on in the school, and you have so many other there's so many other things that you have to take care of as a director that if you are using your emotional brain space, time, energy, and resources on this, of course you're not going to have time for anything else. So that's like a huge thing that I want to make sure that you guys understand. But let me just get here into the comments quickly before we talk about what your next action steps are. I have one who just pops my head into the office while she's getting kids' coats on from outside, throws a bombshell, like I'm not documenting more, and I'm not documenting anymore. Rosanna, one of the best ways to respond to that is, first of all, don't respond when she drops the bombshell. The second thing is follow up with an email and say, I know that you walked into my room and I heard like you say something. I didn't really hear what you were saying. I saw that you mentioned something. I didn't really hear what you were saying. You were getting the kids' coats on. I wasn't really focused on my attention. I'm happy to schedule a meeting if there's something you'd like to talk about, or if you want to send me an email, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like, don't even acknowledge that you heard anything. If she has something to say to you, there's a way to say it like a grown-up. Of course, I say I can't hear that now. Your request is important to me. Take the time to hear. I have them scheduled with the sister in my time block. Yay! Suzanne, Inner Circle win. All right, high five. I love that. Barb says, one defensive teaching team actually wrote a letter about all the things they don't like about the admin team, then went around to all the teachers asking them to endorse the letter and presented it to us under the guise of wanting to create an environment of greater communication. That is, wow. Wow is right, guys. That's pretty serious. Barb, let me know if you are asking for how to respond to that, because I have an idea of how you should be responding to what they did. But let's just wrap up here our Facebook Live, and then I'll let you know what we're going to be talking about in the follow-up. So let me just get my notes out here real fast. Okay, so it's 1, identify who these teachers are. 2, memorize that script of, what you're going to tell them, their time block, whatever it is. And 3 is when you do your morning check-ins, your pop-ins, you pop in your head to say good morning, whatever it is, make sure that these teachers are high on your radar for looking at what they're doing really well. And the reason for that is because in the next Facebook Live series where I talk about the script for the meeting, the beginning part of that meeting that you're going to be talking about is highlighting what they're doing really well in the classroom and why you're really grateful that that they are on the team. And you could only know that with real concrete data of things that they're doing well. You can't just say, you're such a great teacher, the parents really love you, I'm so happy to have you here. So here's what's going on. No, it doesn't work like that, because you could have said that exact same sentence to every single teacher in your school. The barometer to know if your praise is specific enough is if you can't say that to any other teacher, okay? That's how you know that the praise is specific, because you can only say it to that person, right? That's how specific it is. And that's what you're looking for. So if you have on your radar, okay, these 3 teachers I know are, the rules don't apply to them, they're this, whatever it is, okay, great. I know I need to, kind of look out for them, great. Now let me make sure that when I do my check-ins, I'm really getting specific data of what they're doing well. And it could be the simplest thing. It could be something as like, their art center is just so super organized and color-coded. And whenever you walk in there, it's always neat. It's never messy. It's just super clean. And you love the fact that it's never an eyesore. So whenever you give a tour, it's just a pleasure to bring parents into their classroom, right? That is such a great compliment. Like, I know I've never gotten those compliments because my classroom never looked like that, so I know it was specific to the couple of teachers that were like that because my classroom never looked like that. Before we did tours, the director always had to come into my classroom and be like, okay, Connie, we got a tour going on in a half hour. Could you clear up the counters here? I'm not proud of it. And I probably should have worked a little bit harder to, clear the counters and make it better. But that was the kind of teacher that I was then. I'm different now, but again, like people are growing, I'm totally going off a tangent. Point is that the praise has to be specific, okay? let's set a time to meet, and then she doesn't get back to me. A week later, I have to chase her down to sit down with me. No, you don't have to chase anyone down to sit down with you. If she wants to meet with you and it's important for her, she will find the time to meet with you. If you're giving her the time blocks, you can come between this time, and this time. Great, you can follow up once through email and say, I haven't heard back from you. I just wanted to check in one time. Don't chase her. Usually start off that way of what I value about them, but all parts of the job are required. Yes, super, super, super important. I'm actually writing an article now for a magazine on teacher appreciation. And I'm going to share it with you guys also again. But for those of you that are part of my world, you already know all of this stuff. So here's the action step. Let's just sum up over here. We spoke about the 4 different categories of internal dialogue, emotional behavior, negotiating behavior, and just like the different strategies and the different ways the defensive teachers come into meetings. And then we spoke about some of the action steps of how to best prepare for, having conversations with these teachers. We did not talk about the actual meeting and the script of how to follow that meeting. That's going to be in part 2 of this Facebook Live series. So let me know in the comment section before you guys sign out, either number 1, something new that you learned from our Facebook Live today. And again, if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments. And number 2, what is your action step for this week? It's Sunday night. What is your action step based on what you just learned? Right, let me know in the comments. Hi, Kim. I didn't realize you were here. It's so nice to see you. Okay. Again, for those of you that are coming in or on your way out, let me know in the comments something new that you learned or something that was reaffirmed in your leadership practice. Or number 2, what is your action step for this week based on something that we learned? Yeah, Barb, this is beyond common. I only do Facebook Lives about common problems. I don't talk about things that aren't common. I appreciate knowing more about how to prepare for the meeting with the challenging teacher. Yes. When I'm busy, I'll ask them to send me a meeting request. Awesome. Instead of dropping everything. Awesome. Jennifer, that is a huge, huge action step. And if you are able to really be consistent and follow through with that, it's a super winner. Just super, really stepping into the role of just a real great leader. Not to chase staff. Action to send. Yes. To request a one-on-one meeting. Yeah. 100% Rosanna. Cindy, thinking about feedback I'm giving them, how specific it's that person. Is it specific to that person or is it more generalized? Yeah, I love that you're bringing up that point, that's your takeaway, because the more and more I talk with school leaders, it's so important to understand that your praise has to be specific, and specific means that it's only to that person. That's how you know that it's super specific. Miriam, hi. Glad you found all the points right on target. Rivka, make personal meeting times for teachers more specific. Yes. So like have that actually, blocked out in your calendar in that kind of way. And also Rivka, in the inner circle, I did this for Stephanie, and I might do this as like a tutorial in the inner circle on how to create a link connected to your Google Calendar so teachers can schedule meetings on their own. So you could just send them a link and say, okay, here's the link to my calendar with all the available times that you can actually book a meeting with me. Choose the time that you want to book. And like this, you even, offboarded that task. Hi, April. Thank you. I'm learning all of this before having staff on my own. Awesome. Alrighty, ladies. It's been real. My son is sleeping, which is great. So we're going to put him down, and I could actually have 2 hands to get some work done. Thanks so much for joining, and we will see you next week for episode 7 of the EC Leader Show. Reminded me of the habit I make about letting people know when they catch me on the fly. Tell them that they will need to catch up to you whenever. Yeah, awesome. 100%. They can't catch you on the fly. You're not listening. You're not focused. Absolutely not. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great night. All the best. Bye.